Ryan here, and today we're going to be recasting the MCU. But we're not recasting the MCU in the way you think. We're not looking at Iron Man, Spider-Man, stuff like that. We're actually going to be looking at movies referenced in the MCU that actors from the MCU are in. So, for example, Iron Man calling Thor Big Lebowski, while Obadiah Stane was played by Jeff Bridges in Iron Man, as well as playing Big Lebowski in Big Lebowski. How would that work? Does Obadiah Stane have a twin brother named Jeff Bridges? Does Obadiah Stane play Big Lebowski? Or is it a completely different actor? So we're going to be approaching it today as completely different actors. I've compiled a list here. The list is incomplete. I will let you know that. I will admit to you guys, I have seen both trilogies, but I am not that big of a Lord of the Rings fan. So I need help in figuring out the Lord of the Rings portion of this. We'll make a second video about it, and it'll be fan casting. So please help me out in that. And if I miss anybody in this that's in movies, that's also in the MCU, that's mentioned, or if they do a bunch of references in Black Widow to like Stranger Things or something like that, we'll make a second video. But please help me out with Lord of the Rings. So anyways, let's get to it. So, thanks a lot, Spider-Man. Star Wars is referenced multiple times thanks to Spider-Man. Now, you guys know, especially if you watch my videos every Tuesday, I'm one of the biggest Star Wars fans ever. I mean, if you're new to the channel, let's see, we got the Bad Batch here, we got Grogu, we got Kylo Ren, Grogu, Darth Vader, my Lego ships, stuff like that. Over here off camera, I got Lego Millennium Falcon, Lego Razor Crest, Lego Slave One. Got my Darth Vader pop right here. I got an X-Wing blueprint right behind the camera, hanging on my wall. And every Star Wars book that's Disney canon, also behind the camera. And about 300 Star Wars figures. So obviously, big Star Wars fan. But Spider-Man, who's also my favorite superhero, created this loophole. So really, there's only two actors that I'm focusing on today that were in Star Wars and also in the MCU, being Samuel L. Jackson and Natalie Portman. So the funny part is, people did kind of like mention a lot about Samuel L. Jackson, but never about Natalie Portman for some reason. So, looking at this, I tried to figure out who would play Mace Windu in the Star Wars movies in the MCU. So, I kind of thought I thought long and hard for a lot of these, but ended up actually being very easy for the Star Wars ones. That's because, being a big Star Wars fan like I am, it was actually easy to cast from previous rumors. So, one of these might not have ended up working at all, but we're in the MCU, so everything's better. Such as Tupac and Biggie not getting shot and stuff like that. So that's why I'm using this casting here. So originally, George Lucas wanted Tupac to play Mace Windu. So there is our casting for Mace Windu, is Tupac. And for Natalie Portman, I will say I did not know this up until about 10 years ago, that Keira Knightley played Sabe. Now, obviously, Sabe wasn't the name at the time, or it wasn't well known as a name, but due to the books, we know that that's Sabe. And she was chosen because she looks identical to Natalie Portman in the movie. Obviously, she's not identical to Natalie Portman, but they look very closely alike. So I can see, instead of Keira Knightley playing Sabe, they cast her in Padme's role. So Star Wars is covered fairly easy, just due to the fact that I'm a Star Wars fan. So next is actually going to be a very interesting one because you have to do some mental gymnastics about this. This is actually one of the most recently added ones for us with WandaVision, which this is a stretch, I will admit. This is a real stretch because it's not the actress herself, it's her family. But we do have to think about it this way because the Olsen genes are so strong where the three of them look so similar that would raise some eyebrows if Wanda Maximoff looked like Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. So, Full House is on this list. And here's the mental gymnastics. Now, I know that it wasn't as big as Dick Van Dyke or Malcolm in the Middle or Modern Family, but the 80s episode of WandaVision had a lot of references to Full House, even to the point where the Maximoff / Vision, whatever you want to call it, house looked similar to the Tanner house in Full House, and the theme song was heavily influenced by Full House. So, who did we have to replace the Olsen twins with? Now, this was very hard for me because I had to try to look back. Let me explain how I did this first, which I should have done earlier, but I'm going to do it now because it's my video, okay? But, so I did not just look for an actress or actor to replace the person in the MCU. I literally went and tried to find them in that time period. So, for example, like I said, Tupac for Sam Jackson for Mace Windu. Tupac was supposed to be in it, and also he would have fit the same, I guess it was George Lucas's idea, so it didn't have to be the same age, but Keira Knightley is around the same age as Natalie Portman, so that would fit for Padme. So now we had to think, who would fit for Michelle Tanner? And it took a while. Then I finally realized we had somebody that was kind of the, I don't want to say that because that sounds weird, kind of the big child star of the time. And that would be Mara Wilson from Matilda. So I know that it would kind of work a lot more harder for the Full House cast, being that it's only one kid versus two that they could switch out and avoid labor laws and everything like that. But, it's the MCU, again. It's an imaginary world, so there are no child labor laws in acting. Mara Wilson would have taken the place of Michelle. And next would be Die Hard, which is another Samuel L. Jackson movie. Well, it's not starring Samuel L. Jackson, but he's in it. And in this, we would have to put... I actually had a recommendation from a friend that Denzel Washington would play Samuel L. Jackson's role in that. Now, I've never seen Die Hard, any of the Die Hards. I haven't seen the one that Samuel L. Jackson's in, so I am taking my friend's word for that. I do apologize if that is completely off. Next would be, funny enough, thanks a lot, Ant-Man, Hot Tub Time Machine. And that's because Sebastian Stan plays the villain in that, if there is really a villain. And it's literally a throwaway line that causes a problem, because Sebastian Stan plays the Winter Soldier. So I did choose Nathan Fillion, was it? Yes, I chose Nathan Fillion for this. And there's two things that I want to explain with this one. So the first one is, it's because Sebastian Stan kind of looks like Nathan Fillion in that movie, like hairstyle and everything, so I could kind of see him fit in on that. Another thing would be, he is kind of already cast in the MCU as Wonder Man, just with a reference in the Guardians of the Galaxy 2. However, he's an actor in it. Cut. However, he is an actor in it. So, really it doesn't mess with the whole problem in anything, because he'll just be the either exaggerated version of himself or whoever he's playing in the MCU playing that role. So, again, I'm going to skip over Lord of the Rings, which was next on my list, but we're going to talk about Star Trek really quick, which will also be in the next video because I forgot to write that down. So I'm going to cut that out. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this first video about it. We still got a lot more to cover, such as Lord of the Rings, as well as Star Trek, because Zoe Sandala and Chris Hemsworth are in the newer Star Trek movies. We do have to cover who would take those roles. So make sure you guys comment below who you think would be best in those roles, if I missed any, or if you could please help with the Lord of the Rings, or by the time this video's out, we should have Black Widow out, as well as Loki finished. So if there's any new references, we should be able to cover it. So please guys help out, and thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, and ringing that bell. Also follow me on all my social media down below. I hope you guys have a great day, and it's that nerd Ryan reminding you, we're all superheroes on the inside.